I'm speaking on behalf of my friend Dr. Austin Bodenkerdy. He is a coral scientist. He is with coral conservation. It seems like delegates are having an easier time protecting land than protecting oceans. Why is that, and how can I encourage delegates to make stronger protections?
That's a great question. And actually, the reader is, I think, I'm not sure I have the right answer, but my feeling, my thinking is that actually on land, we can see what happens. When people cut a tree or when people dig a mine, you can actually see the destruction straight away. And you feel bad and you can actually begin to fight it. What happens in the ocean is out of sight. You don't see when actually the trawlers are hitting the bottom of the ocean, when huge shoals of fish are caught in the net. You just don't see it. And so it's out of sight, out of mind kind of problem. And now, of course, documentaries and everything else has brought us into the ocean and finally begin to see what happens. And we particularly understand that the ocean is so important, as much as right. 2/3 of the planet is blue. 1/3 is green, not even all. So I think that's why we've been focusing more on land than in the ocean, but that's changing. That's changing, and it's good that you're pushing for the ocean because we need to get in terms of conservation.
It seems like delegates are having an easier time protecting land than protecting oceans. Why is that?
That's a really good question. I think first, and thank you so much for that insightful question. First, I think there's a problem of awareness. So that's something you heard about more. I think for some reason it can be easier for people to picture what the impacts are on land than it is to think about what's happening in the ocean. And for those of us who live near oceans, maybe we get that picture of what's going on in the oceans. We see some sea level rise. We might see the effects on coral reefs. But in other cases, that's really distant for us. If you think about terrestrial systems, sometimes that's in our own backyard, right? We're looking at forests, we might see them cut down, we might think of all the other places that we go, like on your way to school or something. And those are lands that we can think about conservation on. So that awareness question is the first one. But I think what your friend could probably give us more insight on is just the challenges we face in understanding the oceans. Like, let's be honest, oceans are huge. They occupy so much of our Earth's surface that sometimes it's hard to know how we can do a good job of capturing just what biodiversity loss has been occurring. We have increasingly been aware of how to measure and understand oceans, but I think that understanding is really growing. So, work that your friend is doing and others who are really telling us about the state of marine biodiversity loss, and even others who are thinking about the solutions are really going to be key to it. And I think for me, I'm really excited to hear what you have to say in a few years. Maybe you have some ideas that are really going to change the way we're thinking about marine systems.
How can I encourage delegates to make stronger protection for ocean and land? Because nature needs paths.
Yeah, I think you can use your voice. I'm really impressed by what you're doing here, and I think taking the initiative to come to share that knowledge with others is the first part of it. What's happening here is so important, and what we're going to do for conservation based on these global goals for biodiversity is incredibly important. But it's also what we're going to do when we leave here. All of us play a part in that. So advocating for conservation, both on land and in water, so fresh waters and marine, is incredibly important, and there's so many ways to do that. So get involved locally with local conservation efforts. Think about the dimensions of nature that are right there, like we talked about, in your backyard and near you in your parks. And every one of these places and spaces, so whether water or land, play a part in conservation. So we'll get there. I really think we will, because we don't really have a choice. So hopefully this global biodiversity framework starts us off ambitious, and then we continue to build. Yeah.
Thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you so much.
It seems like delegates are having an easier time protecting land than protecting oceans. Why is that? And how can I encourage delegates to make stronger protection?
So, how should delegates pay more attention to the problem in the oceans? That's such a big question. The oceans cover 70% of the Earth's surface. They're the most important part of our planet. That's why we're the blue planet. And yet we spend so much time, because we live on land, I think, that's where all the focus is. But there's no doubt we've got to get people focused on doing stuff to turn around biodiversity damage in the oceans. I think what we need to do is to show people what's happening. And there's some great TV programs that start to bring to life what's going on. We need to engage with all the delegates here at the conference to show them how much damage is really happening, because I think that is what will inspire people to take action. I think we have to not just inspire them, we have to demand action, because talk is cheap, action is what counts.
Okay, thank you for chatting to me.
Well, thank you for interviewing me. The privilege was all mine. Thank you. I look forward to seeing it on YouTube.